I'm Jay Arthur, author of the QI Macros. Let's look at how to easily create formulas in Excel. Very often you'll see data that's organized vertically or horizontally. Now very often what we want to do is go ahead and summarize or average or do something with that. So the simple answer here is you can click underneath here, and if we typed in an equal sign, you'll see that there's a formula bar up here. And we could choose all kinds of things. So we might want math or whatever. But there's a simple way to do this. So we click on that cell, go to the home page, home tab. You'll see there's actually a tool up here to AutoSum. And it'll sum or average or count. And so I could sum that column and it'll create my formula for me. Now we know what the total of that is. Or it'll do it horizontally. Again, I can click over here, and let's say this time I want an actual average. It'll calculate that for me. I could come back in here and say, well, I want to count the numbers, right? And it'll count numbers, and it'll figure out all that for you. Now, once you've created these, you might want to move them out of the line of fire because we might want to add more stuff here. But once you've created them, we can take that and we can cut that and we can paste that into that formula over here. And up here you can see we can actually change the number of decimal points. And then down here I'm going to take that, I'm going to cut that out of there, and I'm going to paste that in here. All right, so that's a pretty slick way to do that. Now we could add more data down here, but we might have to expand our formula to make it work better. All right, I could even say, well, I want it to go instead of B2 to B whatever. I can actually say I want a whole column. And then if I added in some more numbers over here, my falls would increase. That's just a starter kit for how to do things like sums and averages and so on. Now we also find things like we might need to calculate the difference between two things. And so here's our weight loss. And this is pretty simple. All you have to do is type in the equal sign, so that gets us into formulas. Then you can click on the first cell, click the minus sign, and then click on the second cell. And that gives me the difference. Now I can take that and I can actually, once you get that little plus sign there, you can actually drag or drop things down. Another way to do that is simply to double click on that and it will autofill. And you can see there's also autofill functions up here. And so then the next thing we might want to do is do the same sort of thing with time. Now I could actually copy this formula and paste it in here if I wanted to. But I could do the same thing because it's a little different. So in this case, I'm going to subtract the stop time from the start time. Right, so we're subtracting that 9 from 9:15, and we get the numbers. And again, I can extend that. Now maybe I want to convert that to just minutes. So I could type equal sign. Then I can go to my formulas. And you'll see here that instead of math and trig, I might want to use date and time. There's all kinds of formulas in here. All right, so I have to scroll down because what do I want? I want minutes. And here it's going to say serial number, which is actually this number, the time. And click OK. And that gives me the number of minutes. And again, I could extend that down. But here you can see we have hours, and so I only got 20 minutes. So I might have to adjust my formula to make this work. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to add in the formula for hours. And I'm going to click G3, and I need to multiply that times 60 minutes per hour and add in the actual number of minutes. And Excel is going to not be very helpful and actually convert this back into a time formula. So I have to go back into Format Cells, General, and that should change it back into the number of minutes. All right, and I might want to extend that back up into my other formulas so that I can always get the same answer. So that's how to do things like getting the difference between things, difference between start times and stop times, and converting those to minutes. Now, we also find that there are things where we have to create ratios. Now, I work in healthcare quite a bit, and so here's total patient falls over total patient days. Now, they calculate a number called falls per 1,000 patient days. Now, what I've found is it's often easiest to build formulas a little bit at a time so that I can figure out what's working and what's not working. So I don't try and do it all at once, because that usually makes a problem for me. So I could say, well, let's type an equal sign, and I want to take this number, I want to divide that by 1,000. So there's my 1,000 patient days. All right, and then what I want is, I want to calculate falls per 1,000 patient days, which would be equal to the number of falls divided by 1,000 patient days. You can see it's getting crazy with decimals here. And then what I'd want to do is actually combine this formula and that formula. So I could type in equal my total patient falls divided by, I'm going to put this in parentheses, this divided by 1,000 gives me my falls per 1,000 patient days. So now I have all of these formulas, and I could actually extend those down. Now, once we have this, we could then turn that into a line chart, a run chart, a control chart. Control charts are going to be better for tracking these kinds of things. So I'm going to select my first column. I'm going to hold down my control key, select the first column, which are my labels. And then, using the QI macros, I could do a line chart or I could do a run chart. But the best charts for these kinds of things are control charts, and the control chart wizard will pick the right chart for you. And so here you can see we have a falls per 1,000 patient days. It looks like something got taller and then something got lower. And as you can see here, it looks like there might have been a process change. If you click on the chart, the QI macros will give you a tool, a chart menu, and you can say, I want to show process changes. So that's a little bit of insight about how to use Excel formulas. Now in the QI macros, we also have Excel formulas. And so down here you can see how to convert time, and so it has all the formulas in here. It has things for converting text, like splitting things out and doing upper and lowercase and proper names, average and sum, lookups, right, an H lookup or a V lookup, doing things about pass-fail analysis, things from healthcare, and how to find bad data. A lot of tools in the QI macros, and again, that feature is under our calculators under Excel formulas. So I hope you get that idea that creating formulas in Excel is not hard, and once you learn how to do it, you know you're going to be a superstar, because less than 5% of the Excel spreadsheets have a formula in them. But this makes it extra easy to calculate the numbers you're looking for improvement or for charting right in Microsoft Excel. Are you still using line, bar, and pie charts from the last century? You might want to consider control charts, Pareto charts, and histograms. Smart charts for the 21st century.